Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A 30-year-old Prospect man involved in a chaotic police siege that lasted almost 12 hours has been spared a lengthy jail sentence. Instead, Kane Richardson will be forced to undergo an intensive drug treatment program.
It was in November last year when this quiet Prospect street quickly spiralled into a swarm of emergency services as Kane Richardson entered a 10-hour standoff with police. The court heard he was ranting manically, acting paranoid and at one point urging authorities to shoot him. Eventually, the 30-year-old surrendered, demanding he be taken to a mental health facility. Justice Pearce today said if this was attempted as help for his mental health, then it was misguided and selfish. The court heard Mr Richardson has a lengthy history with drugs and started smoking ice at age 14, but wanted to turn his life around to reconnect with his daughter. The judge sympathised with the defendant, agreeing to put him on a strict drug treatment order, as well as a 15-month sentence. With time served, he could leave prison as early as January, adding if he fails to comply, prison is inevitable. If Mr Richardson commits any further crimes, he'll be back behind bars for another 2 years. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
We've all had takeaway, but what happens when the takeaway takes off? That's the predicament the owners of Skipper's Fish Shop found themselves in yesterday. Freak winds blew the barge off its moorings just after 6 p.m.
We heard the roar start and then next minute, we just saw the fish and chip shop start sailing across this way.
The owners are thanking those who quickly stepped in to help. Luckily, the store wasn't too battered in the ordeal. And flights at Hobart Airport are now back on track after dangerous winds caused significant disruptions to commuters yesterday. 3 trips to Hobart were forced to divert to Launceston, where the bus service offered to passengers. A further 3 flights to Melbourne, Sydney and the Gold Coast were cancelled.
We are working through the backlog and the airlines are moving passengers out of the airport. We certainly have a number of seats available out of Hobart today, and thankfully no one spent the night in the terminal.
It's estimated around 1,000 people were impacted. There's developing news tonight on a missing persons alert. Police are trying to locate 80-year-old Jeanette Norman, also known as Vella, and 68-year-old James Farnham. They left Beaconsfield at 10:30 yesterday morning and were travelling to Ulverston in a white Mitsubishi Mirage. They were reported missing this morning after failing to arrive. Anyone with information can contact Crime Stoppers. The complex new makeup of Tasmania's Parliament is facing its first real test, forcing the state's newest member to show her hand. With 2 controversial laws up for debate, the future is unknown, with the casting vote potentially out of the government's control.
A new balance of power. Less than 3 months since Madeleine Ogilvie won her way back into Parliament and ditched her Labor roots. Her first real test could be on the way.
It's an honour and a privilege, but also a great burden, because I want to make sure that I'm voting in a way that is for all Tasmanians.
Mandatory sentencing for child sex offenders expected to be debated next week. It's already failed once this year when Sue Hickey blocked the bill. But there's since been a shake-up in the Parliament, with the law's future potentially coming down to the independent MP's vote, creating uncertainty for the government.
The more unexpected the outcomes, the more a government looks like it's in disarray. And that's, as I said, why the government has been very anxious to say we're not a minority government, we're not behaving like a minority government, we are behaving like a government fully in control of our agenda.
I'm a bit open-minded on it. I will be listening to the debate in Parliament and I will be casting my vote as I think the debate draws to some conclusions.
It's already been backed by some survivors, but lawyers have concerns.
It makes people much more likely to plead not guilty. The result then is that more people plead not guilty because they feared a mandatory sentence, and then more victims end up having to give result and be traumatised by the court process.
Contentious anti-protest laws will also be debated when Parliament resumes for its final week on Tuesday. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
The number of jobs lost at Vodafone's Tasmanian headquarters has been revealed. The telecommunications company announced last month it's shifting most of its call centre duties offshore, citing financial and competitive pressure. A spokesperson confirmed today 114 employees have left the Hobart facility so far, and a small number will leave between now and February. At its peak, the Tasmanian call centre was home to 1,000 jobs. That number is now believed to be closer to 100. The remaining workers are highly specialised and deal with more complex customer service requests and complaints. A new tourism venture is taking to the skies, offering helicopter tours hoped to attract high-flying, big-spending visitors. Helicopter tourism has stirred controversy in national parks, but the operators say they have measures in place to avoid disruption.
Blades spinning and taking off into the sky. Soaring along the picturesque coastline in this new panoramic sightseeing experience.
Providing tours around Tasmania, including the local area, Hobart City, and further afield, East Coast, Central Highlands and down the Channel.
The locally run Tasmanian Air Tours is offering personalised circuits and adventures to suit all passengers. Helicopters have attracted criticism for disturbing the peace in areas of natural beauty, but the operators say they're avoiding known walking tracks. The tourism industry says experiences like this are needed to attract high-end, big-spending visitors.
It's a really interesting addition to the state's tourism. And the reality is that the visitors that we're attracting now are high-end, they are high-yielding, and they are looking for bespoke experiences.
Collaborating with others where we may have a distiller meet us at Mural Island to share his story, and Bangor, where we land out there, meet the farmer. They're providing what they're doing, but also so it gives more of a story into Tasmania and the surround itself.
While soaring from its home base at the popular oyster retreat at Barilla Bay, giving tourists and locals a taste of the area and beyond.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, to have helicopters landing, people eating oysters, seeing them, allowing, greater access to all things Tasmania.
3 helicopters are currently in operation for the venture. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Scrapes, scratches and a few sore bones have marked the opening of more than 100 kilometres of new bike trails near St Helens. It's hoped the town will ride off the back of success in nearby Derby.
If your passion is pedalling, this might be paradise. Snaking through the hills of St Helens is the newest network of tracks to lure mountain bikers. Years and millions of dollars in the making. Not even the mayor could resist testing his tyres.
The views are absolutely spectacular, and there's a little patch of gravel up there with some skin on it, and that's mine.
The Jewel is a 44-kilometre trail starting in the forests of Blue Tier and stretching to the sands at the Bay of Fires. It's been designed by the same people behind Derby.
I think it's the only trail in the world that starts in that terrain up the top there and finishes on the coast. And St Helens itself is the only coastal mountain bike destination in the world.
While operators from Derby say competition isn't a concern.
Derby and St Helens, for the mountain bike audience outside of the state, they won't recognise council boundaries. They're just going to know there's more incredible trail.
Bringing bikes to the town is seen as one way of fixing the winter visitor slump. So big is the day and high the hopes. They cut the ribbon twice.
It will be absolutely transformative for the local economy. We're already hearing from local businesses that they're preparing for the influx of tourists.
If a 44-kilometre ride doesn't get you pumped, there's a network of shorter trails here at Flagstaff. And so far the reviews are pretty good. That's if you don't fall off.
They're real fun. Nice and dusty at the moment, but yeah, they're running real good.
I reckon they're awesome, super fast and flowy.
How much time do you reckon you'll spend here over summer?
Oh, most of my days. They're the way to go.
Another 40 kilometres is expected to be built next year. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A man hunting rabbits caused a fright last night when police say he discharged a firearm near 3 people in bushland. Officers were called to Southport after the incident, but determined the hunter was on private property and wasn't aware of the people nearby. No one was injured. A 62-year-old man has been charged with ammunition storage offences. French authorities have revealed more details about the repair of its damaged icebreaker. The Astrolabe is docked in Hobart, where it's been assessed for defects with its propulsion system. The ship will sail to Perth under its own power in December, and repairs are estimated to be completed mid-month. Australia's Aurora Australis is being used in place of France's icebreaker to help with an Antarctic resupply mission. Colourful characters are brightening up a city street in a large-scale public artwork unveiled today. The Hobart City Council commissioned the mural for the Argyle Street car park. It's called Foxtrot Polka Dot and was created by 2 local artists.
The piece of artwork has really built on some of the history of this part of town, and the inspirations come from what used to be in this area before it was a large car park. But it's just so colourful and interesting.
It's part of the city's program to combat graffiti and add colour to local streetscapes. 20 young Tasmanians have been celebrated for their community spirit at a special awards ceremony. The Fred Hollows Foundation presenting certificates to Year 6 students who demonstrated compassion to others in their local area. Burnie primary student Imogen Lloyd was selected as the Foundation's Junior Ambassador, chosen due to her fundraising efforts, including World's Greatest Shave last year.
I feel like we can all help everyone, and there's no reason why someone shouldn't be helped, so why can't I help everyone that I want to? If everyone could put in their little bit, the world would be a much better place.
For her achievements, she was provided with $5,000 to donate to the Foundation's program in Kenya. Tasmanian sheep farmers have briefly abandoned their flocks to discuss the best practices in the shearing shed. The inaugural event also shining a light on animal welfare, which wool growers say is always at the front of their minds.
Wrangling sheep weighing up to 120 kilos, shearing is an art. And with blades in hand, speed is key.
An average shearer, he'd like to shear 150. A good shearer can shear 250, and a really good shearer they can shear 350, mate.
But shearers say the focus has shifted from quantity to quality, in particular the well-being of sheep. This week the National Australia Bank announced it would no longer lend to farmers who breach animal welfare standards. So wool growers understand if they put one foot wrong, livelihoods could be at risk.
It's changed a lot, mate. Yeah, there's a zero tolerance now to any animal cruelty.
It was a main topic of conversation near Cressy as 80 farmers discussed best practices in the shearing shed.
One of the key focuses of safe farming is to get the industry talking and thinking about safety rather than put it in a too hard basket.
The inaugural event also highlighting the health of workers with refurbished sheds like this, allowing shearers to safely ply their trade in the harshest weather conditions.
Little things like lighting, and having everything in its place and plenty of room to work in makes a huge difference at the end of the day.
By minimising the impact on the shearer, you're also minimising the stress on the sheep, so it works for everyone.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
An estimated 15 million MDMA pills have been stopped from entering Australia thanks to a 10-month joint operation between Australian police and officers in the Netherlands and Belgium. It's feared 700 kilos of Dutch manufactured drugs were destined for schoolies.
I think it's important to reiterate the fact that we are not losing this war on drugs, and we won't and we can't.
11 people were arrested, including a 48-year-old Sydney woman who was extradited to Brisbane. The head of the Hobart Airport has revealed the delivery date of the terminal expansion has been pushed back by months due to a new partnership. Australian company QIC and Dutch-based operator Royal Schiphol acquired 70% of the facility last month and is now reviewing the plans with the airport board. The revamp was previously expected for December 2020.
The Hobart Hurricanes are looking to resurrect their season during a big weekend of WBBL at Blunston Arena, with matches against the competition's top 2 teams this weekend. Coach Sally-Ann Briggs says her team is full of confidence after beating the Sydney Sixers on Wednesday.
I think the motivation in general of being able to take the top 4 teams down is big enough for us. But yeah, it definitely felt good, I guess, getting that monkey off our back with the Sixers.
The side needs to win all 4 of their upcoming games to keep their finals hopes alive. Coverage begins on 7 May from 7 p.m.
A westerly flow brought cloud into the west today, with cloud developing in the east in the afternoon. Hobart reached a top of 23 degrees, Launceston 22, Burnie 18, Devonport 17. Maximum sat a couple of degrees above average, Ooze recording the state's top temp of 25 degrees. Grove 22, Friendly Beaches 21, St Helens and Maria Island 19, Low Head, Lyowini and King Island all 17, Strawn and Flinders Island 16. From the skies we can see a massive high cloud moving in from the west today. And zooming out, yesterday's front has moved well to the east, but is still dragging through New South Wales. Another front approaches the west with some high cloud there. To tomorrow, and the chart shows the cold front crossing Tasmania mid-morning in a westerly flow. On the coast, west to northwesterly winds increasing about the west and south in the afternoon, swells building up to 4 metres. And with that, we have a strong wind warning for waters between Stanley and Wineglass Bay, as well as waters between Tasman Island and Sandy Cape and the Channel. Taking a closer look around the state now, light showers in Hobart tomorrow, looking at a top of 19. Medina becoming windy with showers, a top of 13, Oatlands 18. Launceston, a possible light shower, 20 degrees. Devonport partly cloudy and 18. A windy day at Lyowini with a possible light shower. Burnie becoming windy, 18 the top. Strawn and Mural both 15 degrees, partly cloudy in the east. St Helens becoming windy, looking at a top of 21. Swansea 22, Orford 20. UV very high 9s and 10s across the state. Taking a quick look at Sunday now, with morning showers about the west and far south of the state, but fine elsewhere. Monday, more showers about the west and far south, extending into most regions in the afternoon. And statewide showers forecast on Tuesday, contracting to the west and south by late evening. Looking further north tomorrow, a sunny day for Perth, partly cloudy conditions forecast for Adelaide and Melbourne, a possible late shower in Sydney, and showers with a possible storm in Darwin. And finally, Jo, let's take a look at the current conditions. And with that, it's back to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Britt. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you a little later with updates. Bye for now.